I'm a little bit scared by the prop show that JP is preparing here, so I am just going to take a slight step this way. Sorry, Jason. Someone asked the question this morning after Jess's talk when she was talking about, all the stuff that we can do to be better secured and better prepared, and one of the questions was, you haven't mentioned exercises. Why don't orgs do exercises? And it was a really good discussion. Lo and behold, knew we had JP coming up this afternoon. He's gonna, and now he's got props, I'm convinced, talk to us about how to stand up some incident response exercises in a really fun way. Make JP feel welcome. Thanks.
Rightio, thanks. So, welcome to my talk this afternoon. Hi, Mum, if you're there on the stream, and the kids, hi. Maybe not, I don't know, you've probably got better things to do. Yeah, sure. So today I'm going to talk about incident response exercises. But before I start, if you guys are watching outside, there are still some seats inside, so come on through, it'd help me out a little bit. And hopefully we're going to approach this in a little bit of a different way, using some tools that are freely available that I had nothing to do with making. I've just stolen them and put them together, and I think it's kind of interesting. So I'm going to share that with you guys today. So a little bit about me. I'm an information security manager at a bank, which is fun. And my responsibilities there include managing the SOC and the response process. So, we kind of do these things fairly frequently. And also, I'm a qualified incident handler, just in case you're wondering. A couple of disclaimers. So, what we're going to go through today may not be suitable for a board exercise. So if you want to present to the board, just have a little bit of a think first. Depending on your board, this might be completely appropriate. It might not be. And the other thing I wanted to point out, these aren't the views of the place that I work at. They're just mine. So, that's about that, I think. So why do we want to do incident response? Well, we've seen a lot of good talks today about all the things that can go wrong. And it's really good to be able to practice the things so that they go right. So by practicing, we can learn to deal with these things when they happen. We can become like a crack response team, pretty good. We're drilled, we know what to do, we can go in, we can get the stuff that we need done, and we can also look good. And hopefully we're going to have a little bit of fun on the way while we're doing it. So ultimately what we're going to be is we're going to be looking out over the enterprise as it's burning to the ground, and we're going to be the hero that comes in and saves the day. And hopefully I'm going to give you some tools that you can start doing that and be that hero today. We'll see how we go though. So the first thing we're going to look at is gorillas in the nist, right? I thought it was pretty good, come on. So NIST 800-61R2 is a special publication from NIST about security incident handling. And in case you're wondering, they're happy for you to use it. It's not copyrighted, but they just like a little bit of props and attribution. So thanks NIST, good job. So what we're going to do, we're going to use this thing and we're going to turn you into a superhero incident response type person. So a couple of things. So first of all, on page 6, the NIST 861 is going to tell you what you need to do to set up your incident response process, why you need it, how to develop out your policies and things like that, what kind of team structure you might need, all that kind of good stuff. I'm skipping ahead. Page 21 is also going to talk about the incident response lifecycle. So we're not going to dwell too much on this today, but be aware that there is one if you're not generally dealing with a response. And it's split into 4 parts: prepare, detect and analyze, containment, eradication, recovery, and your post-incident activity. So these discussion exercises fit into that very first box, the prepare box, and the better you prepare, the easier it is to do all the other things down the track. On page 52, another important page in the guide, is talking about your incident handling scenarios. So we'll talk a little bit more about that later. So first thing in our superhero incident response tabletop toolkit is NIST 800-61R2. Cool. So we've got that. What else do we need? Well, we need a bit of a plan or a playbook. So a plan is generally like a high-level, generic steps that you're going to respond to an incident with, whereas your playbook is more specific for specific scenarios. So you might have one for malware or ransomware, or the CEO's put something silly on Twitter or something like that, right? And guess what? NIST 800-61R2 also tells you what you need to do in an incident. So if you don't have a plan, you can just use the guide. And it tells you step by step at a fairly general level, but detailed enough to follow through what you need to do. So in our toolkit, we have NIST 800-61R2, the plan or our playbooks, or if you're just starting out, like I said, this is for zero experience. So if you don't have anything, you grab that for your plan. What else do we need? So we need some kind of aim for our exercise and objectives. So what is it that we're actually trying to achieve by running these exercises? And what are the objectives that we want to hit as we're running through them? So the aim could be that we want to test our new incident response plan during a cyber incident scenario. Then we could have a set of objectives that it could be that we want to review our new plan. We want to identify if the plan is missing any steps. We want to validate if the new plan is appropriate for whatever scenario we think that we're going to use it for. Now, if you want a little bit of help writing your aim and objectives, there's another NIST guide, which is 800-84, that goes through in about, 70 or 90 pages or something like that, how to write out all the exercises and things like that. But because we've only got a little short period of time, we're not going to dive into that today. So back to our toolkit, so that we can be the superhero. What have we got in there? So we've got NIST, we've got our plan or our playbook or NIST. We've written some aims and objectives so we know what we're going to do, what we're going to get out of our exercise. And then we're going to start building our team. So it might be pretty obvious, you're going to have your security guys, right? But you've got to think about who else might be on that team. So normally you start off, you have your core security guys that are doing your incident response stuff day in, day out. But then depending on the incident, you're going to start bringing some people like system administrators or network engineers. You might need to bring in your PR team or your corporate comms, or maybe your risk advisors, or your compliance team, or the legal team. And slowly, your team's actually getting quite big, and it's got people that aren't normally in IT and don't understand this stuff. So it can get a little bit tricky, and that's another really good reason to practice, and to practice with these people, so that when something happens, they know who you are, they understand the whole thing, and what they need to do. Okay, so we're getting there. We're building our toolkit out. We have our NIST 800-61R2. You guys are going to go to sleep and you're going to be saying that in your head, all right? That's all right. There'll be a link at the end so you can find it in case you forget. We've got our plan or our playbook. We've got our aims and objectives. We've got our team. All right, what else? What are we going to get next? Well, next we need a scenario to actually test the plan with. So there's a couple of ways of doing this. If you have time and you feel like it, you can write out your scenario. Or, as I kind of hinted at before, at the end of NIST 800-61R2, there's a set of scenarios that you can just take and use without even really thinking about it. It's pretty cool. So we've got NIST, we've got our plan or NIST, we've got our aims and objectives, we've got our team ready to go, we've got our scenario ready to go, or we're just going to steal NISTs. What's next? Okay, you need a dice. Hang on a minute. What? How's that going to help? You also need an IT guru dungeon master type person as well. Okay? Here's where the fun starts happening. All right? So you're starting to break out of it a little bit. So in our toolkit, we've got NIST, we've got the plan, we've got the aim, objectives, team, scenarios, we've got a dice, we've got a dungeon master, and now we just need a game so that we can help gamify our incident response drills and have a little bit of fun, but at the same time learn lots and lots. So Black Hills InfoSec have made this game called Cubicles and Compromises. It's kind of like a Dungeons and Dragons for incident response. Like I said, it's up there, it's on the internet, it's freely available to use. They've done a really good job, so we're going to use that with our NIST, and they're the two things that we're going to package together. Okay, so we've got our toolkit ready to go. We can book it in the diary, and we're on the way to saving the enterprise when it's burning to the ground and being the hero that saves the day. Everyone's going to be like, yeah, woo, incident response drills, exciting stuff, right? Instead of, not another one of these things. And how do we actually do it? Well, what we're going to do, we're going to look under the hood right now. And we're going to do that with 2 words. Audience participation. All right. So what I need, we're going to build out our blue team, so our defensive team. So we're going to start off with 3 people on our blue team. So I think what we're going to do, maybe we'll pick someone. So put up your hand if you want to volunteer and you have a little bit of incident response experience, or maybe a lot. Come on, guys. This isn't going to work. All right. So we got one over here. We got one hand up there. We got one up the back there. All right. So if you 2 want to come up, and I need one more. But before we get too carried away, just remember it is COVID. So I have some markers. To make sure that we're nice and safe. All right. I have something for you each.
He is prepared. Yeah.
Okay, you need one of those. Oh, oh.
It's a cup.
Rightio. And there's a bag for you.
Cool.
One for you. So this has your NIST plan and your Cubicles and Compromises game book. These are very expensive bags, so please take them as my gift to you. Don't say you never got anything from CrikeyCon. Rightio. So now, the next thing we need to do is find our IT guru, dungeon master type person. So there's someone out there now. Let's see if there's someone that's kind of got some pen test experience. Are there any girls out there? We've got 3 blokes. We can maybe mix it up a bit. Anyone? I know. I'm going to pick on someone soon.
I can't tell
up
if
the back
that's...
there, someone's...
Yeah, yep, that's a hand up.
Come on up. Awesome. All right. I have a special bag for you too. And you can come and stand on the red dot over here, making sure we're nice and safe. There you go. Welcome. All right. And I have a dice. Cool. All right, we're getting closer. All right. Now I also need somebody to take notes. So when we run these exercises, we need to make sure that we're meeting our aims and objectives, and we also need to make sure that if we identify any missing steps, or I don't know, let's say that you go, oh, I'm going to get the sysadmins to restore the backup, and you go, oh, we don't have backups. That's a note, something to go and fix. So somebody got a pen and paper or a laptop that they want to take some notes on. You won't need to come up here, you can stay where you're sitting. Okay, we've got a note taker over there. Awesome. So we've got our plan, our playbooks, we've assembled the team, we've got the dice, we've got our guru. All right, now we need an aim and our objectives. All right, so our aim today is to test Ellingson Minerals Company's new NIST-based cyber incident response plan during a cyber incident scenario. So that's the thing. We're going to test out the NIST plan. The objectives is to review the plan, identify any missing steps in the plan. We're going to get the team to practice the plan, and we're going to develop the team's decision-making capabilities during an incident. So this is building out so that when they're under pressure, they can build out those decisions. All right, so here are the rules. So this is on your front page of your little kit that you guys have got there. So basically, every time the team take an action, we're going to roll the dice. If it is 11 to 20, that thing worked. Okay, so I'm going to escalate at my boss. He's going to fix it. and you roll a 5, well, bad luck, he's at the pub, you've got to sort it out, right? You get a +5 if you've got a documented procedure. So you have some in behind the front page there. And you also get a +2 if somebody's trained in that activity, okay? Now, at any point, our Guru Master over here is going to throw in what's called an inject. So they're going to change what's happening, and they can come up with random injects. They can use some that Black Hills has come up with, so we've got some examples here. But there's also some questions in this scenario at the back of the NIST playbook as well. Feel free to make up your own, as crazy as you like, it doesn't matter. Alrighty, so this is basically what the guys have got up the front here. So we've got the rules, we've got an incident handling checklist, and then we've got our scenarios at the back, and some other information there as well around, you know, the kind of things that we might like to be doing. Are you ready?
Sure.
Alright, so our scenario today is Tuesday morning. It's not Saturday afternoon, Tuesday morning. And there's a new worm, and it's spreading through removable media, so through USBs, things like that. It's copying itself once it's installed onto open Windows shares, it's scanning the network, and when the worm infects a host, it installs a denial of service agent. Okay? The organisation's already got widespread infections, and there's no signatures available yet in the antivirus. Okay, so we're just coming in, we're seeing it around the network. Maybe we've had a behavioural trigger on, you know, our endpoint detections or something like that, but there's no signature. We're not quite at that point yet. There will be in a few hours, so keep that in mind. So what we do now is we've got some extra questions out of the NIST scenarios that we can use, but basically we throw it over to the blue team. No pressure, but what are you going to do?
Well, lucky this is fictitious, right? So that's, yeah. What do you guys think?
Well, what's our endpoint protection? That will change our response.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, well, IT Guru, what's our endpoint protection? Semantic endpoint.
Yeah.
All right. So, what you'd normally do is you take this. I'll knock it over if I go that way.
Yeah. Ouch.
Give it a little. Yeah. So this is really going to look at semantic endpoint, and we have a 12. So semantics. The console's up. You can log in, and you can actually see what it's saying.
So we can see the size of the problem, is what you're saying.
Has it identified our host?
Awesome.
So we rolled a 12 and the semantic endpoint detected something. So I'm assuming it's detected our infected hosts or unusual activity on those.
All right. So what's next?
What's next?
Don't forget, just throw them in whenever you want. Just yell out, and I'll repeat it.
I'd be checking the backups, making sure they're there and getting them isolated. Get the backup servers disconnected.
Cool.
This could easily be destroying data. It could be a ransom.
All right, so the backup servers are pegged. Give it a roll. Let's see. 15. All right, so you're looking at the backup servers. You can get to the backup servers, but they're pegged at 99%. Yeah, that is a concern.
So I would go with some kind of containment. We want to try and, tell people to turn off their laptop if they can. We're going to try and contain things old school, turn stuff off.
Yeah. Don't forget you got a checklist there. I've tried to help you guys out.
Do I tip it?
Yep. All right, 11. You guys are having good luck. All right, so they're going to try and contain the laptop or the laptops.
I imagine we're in an organisation about 8 laptops.
8 laptops.
So we've
Okay. What do you think? 8 laptops or 800? Yeah, 800, I think.
with semantic.
Is that right? So you were able to contain those 8 laptops, and you've got another 792 to go. There's some quick math for you.
This
What's
guy's
gonna
looking at the
happen next?
checklist, so he knows what's going on.
The organisation's just started a time-limited high-review project.
Oh.
So it's not for laptops.
Okay, so
So-
the organisation's just started a project that's very time limited, and turning off those 8 laptops has just cost $1 million in lost revenue, by the way.
That's per hour. So that's where you'd go to your hot site and go over and get them.
All right, so you're going to cut to the hot site. All right, let's see. Ooh,
It's infected
6.
too.
All right, do you have a procedure for cutting to your hot site?
It should be, but
No, not in that book, there's not. So have you got that as a note? No procedure for cut over to hot site?
it's okay.
All right.
But in the checklist, what it's saying, we're at the stage where first stage was detect and analysis, and that's where we thought our endpoint protection would have gotten to. Now we're looking at the containment, eradication and recovery. But some stages we're going to have to speed up because we're losing that 100.
Yeah,
What is it?
no
100
pressure,
million
right?
an hour? Yeah.
And it's surprising, like even though we're having a bit of fun here, when you're doing this with your team, it actually starts putting that pressure on. Even though you're joking and laughing, you're like, oh, what are we going to do next?
Yeah.
It makes
So
you start thinking.
if we can somehow isolate the Windows shares so that way they're not going to get any more protection or infections happening. So update rules, host-based rules or host-based firewall.
I feel like there goes another $1 million an hour, but let's do it.
You guys are lucky. 12.
Yeah.
All right. Right. So the project's met the next milestone, and they need to start sharing files with other teams outside the organisation.
That makes it a tough one because the next thing I wanted to do was cut off the USB access because we know that's how this thing spreads.
Okay.
But we've
All right, we're
noticed
going to
how
cut
this-
off the USB access. Rightio. Yep. 7. Rightio. Do you have a process for cutting off the USB access?
I'll be doing a group policy, push it out to all the devices and just disable it, just do whatever.
So
we
it sounds like we've got somebody qualified, which gives you what, a +2?
Yes.
So 7 + 2 is still not good enough.
No.
So you try and push out group policy, but it doesn't work.
Windows updates. Servers updating during the policy rollout.
All right, what are we going to do next? What's happening? Any?
The team has shared files with another organisation. The worm has now pivoted to that organisation and they're unable to proceed with their work. The project is now losing more revenue and their customers are very angry that they have not seen progress on this very important project.
All right, no pressure, dudes. Are you going to fix it?
So we've shared the problem because
Yeah.
a problem shared is a problem halved. and those signatures are coming quicker now because more people are infected and more people are annoyed, which is good.
All right, so we've got some
I've got a
signatures.
question. Is it the Russian variant that's hitting Brisbane at the moment?
Yeah, so there's probably a question there, right? So businesses obviously trying to get going and do stuff. They're probably making the problem worse by trying to power through this thing.
All right, so that's a
can
note.
we
the
talk-
business is trying to power through, they're making
Yep.
the problem worse. That's the lesson learned out
Yep.
of the exercise.
So can we talk to someone at the right level to go, hey, I know your project's important, but if you don't let us do our job,
All right.
there's not going to be a team left to do this.
$16. All right. So you've run the marketing.
Yeah, the CEO's
chief
like, no
marketing
worries.
officer or
Yeah.
the whatever Facebook dude, and what have they said? They said, yeah, all right, we'll slow down a bit.
The stakeholders have said they understand the nature of the issue. However, they had not budgeted for this project to run over and they're not sure what's going to happen if they can't get this completed in time.
She's
They're
tough.
sympathetic, very, very concerned.
Can we check our cyber insurance covers this?
All right, we're checking the insurance.
This is a really important role. Come on.
Come on. I'm an expert in this, by the way.
8
+2. That's
plus
10.
2 is
Still-
10, but it's
gotta be
needs
11.
To be 11. So the cyber insurance says, sorry, your premium bounced last month. You don't have any coverage.
Can I take it through to the High Court, please?
All right. I think you guys get the idea.
Yeah.
So what we might do is...
We won, right?
We might hold it there. I'm just looking at the time. So hopefully that's giving you a bit of an overview on how you can fairly quickly and easily set up one of these things, and you can make it engaging and fun for your team. And to be perfectly honest, the hardest part for me was finding the dice. Now, I have run this with a 6-sided dice. You just got to halve the numbers.
There's an app on your mobile phone that does
Yes, I have used that as well, an app on the phone. All right, so just to cover off, we're going to go back to our note taker. So our aim was to test Ellensing Mineral Company's new NIST-based cyber incident response plan during a cyber incident scenario. So what do you reckon? Do we get a tick, or is it a Yeah, so we got some stuff missing, but we did test it. So this is about, did we test it? Not did we pass, but did we test it? So that's an important thing to note, right? So the aim of the exercise was to test the plan. The objectives are more around whether we passed or not. So did we review the plan?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Sorry. Did we review the plan?
I'm not sure. No, I don't think we did.
No, I didn't see anybody read it. Or did we identify some missing steps?
Definitely.
Yeah. Did the team practice executing the cyber incident response plan?
Not directly.
Yeah, I'd give them a tick for that one. They practiced it. They might not have done real good, but they practiced. They practiced it. And did we develop their decision making?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that one can have a tick as well. And we've also got a list of lessons learned that will go into our after action report around backups. What else do we have? Cyber insurance. That was it. Right. So the idea is then you take these away and you go and fix them, so that next time they're there ready to go. You pay your cyber insurance bill. You make sure the sysadmins are doing the backups, all that kind of stuff. Cool. Now, if you guys are super keen, there's 2 QR codes. So I'll leave them up there for a second if you want to take a picture or whatever. That'll link through to the NIST 800-61R2, and it'll also link through to Black Hills InfoSec Cubicles and Compromises page where you can go and download it. The Black Hills guys have a heap of cool stuff, so have a look around their site and see what else they've got that you can use. They've got some pretty interesting things. Okay, well, I think that kind of wraps it all up and brings us to an end of the chat. If there are any questions, I'm happy to answer some.
Start with a round of applause. Come on. Thank you. That's really good. My question is, where did you get those cups that meant you had to use barbecue tongs to handle them? And should the contestants go and sanitise now?
I think the confidentiality agreement prohibits me from disclosing where I got those from. It might have been the front counter out there. Yeah.
Questions?
Sanitizer, nice.
So as a guy that's obviously done a lot of this, full stop, what would you say to a team that's just trying to get started?
That's the most important part, is to get started and start going through something like this. Like, this is really light touch, right? Like, you're probably not going to do this with your board. And if you are, you're probably going to put a bit more time into it. You're going to flesh out some relevant scenarios and read that 800-84. There's other organisations that can help you out as well. So ACSC is obviously a really good one to start with. But yeah, just get started, right? So we use this for a whole range of things. So there may be playbooks that you haven't used for a while, or you may see threats changing in the landscape, and all of a sudden there's other companies in your vertical. You look at healthcare, right? That's a good example where phishing has probably gone through the roof. So if you're looking at that and you're saying, well, geez, all these other healthcare providers are getting phishing through the roof, why don't we review our phishing playbook? And you can do it this way, and you just stand it up and go. It's fairly easy, and then you can do it in your team meeting or whatever. But yeah, get started is probably and finding the dice is the hardest thing. So
Well, Paul knows where to get them.
yeah,
Any other questions? There's one right up the back, sorry.
right up the back. Sure.
Do you know of any good public resources for incident response plan templates that you could recommend?
I mean, really, the NIST guide is a template. So if you open it up, like there's, I don't know, however many pages, and it sets through each stage and the things that you need to consider. It's not specific to scenarios. So if you have a specific scenario, just Google, incident response plan for ransomware or, I don't know, denial of service or whatever it is. And then you need to take that and just map it into what tools your organisation has. So, you might want to turn on your denial of service protection, but if you don't have any, then there's probably not much point having that in your playbook. So that kind of thing. But there's a few that I've found, like in GitHub, and that people put together that are freely available, and then you can take that and tailor them and use them to build out your own.
Any other questions?
G'day. First thing, we've actually got a Slack bot that does a D20 roll that you can do. It's super easy to set up, which kind of leads me into the second thing. Have you found any difficulties with moving to work from home compared to being able to run this in the office? Compared to running this in the office?
A little bit, and it is more practice. So, I'm used to being able to see what everybody's doing. So normally I have a role that's like an incident coordinator role, and I'm used to seeing what all the guys are doing because they sit in front of me. Whereas at home you don't get that, so we've had to transition to, I guess, a system where we're talking a lot more over, video conferencing and chat channels and things like that, so that we can get that information feedback. We kind of know where everything's at and who's doing what and how we're progressing. So it has changed, but it hasn't really slowed us down. It's just like a little bump. I mean, yep, we got this now, we're doing it this way. And we're now kind of operating in a hybrid model between online and in the office. And yeah, it's still working well. And I think, it's really good for, when you're having newer staff come on board, they can shadow easier. If you're on like a video conference tool, you can share your screen out and they can see what other people are doing, so that they can get that response, kind of muscle memory built from there.
And that's what's going to happen in real life at the moment, right? Should something kick off, you don't have the luxury of, well, maybe we do in Brisbane, I don't know.
Yeah. But, it's also great because, when you get rung on holidays or whatever, often you're not in the office when you're on holidays. So you're having to run it remotely anyway. So
you need to go places where there's no phone reception. That's the trick.
Yeah.
Everyone, one last round of applause. Thanks very much.